Insights into Leadership. Extracts from a letter from Ali ibn Abu Talib to his Governor Malik-e-Ashter. In the name of Allah, the Merciful and Kind God, these are the orders issued by the creature of God Ali, the son of Abu Talib, to Malik, the son of Ashter, when he appointed Malik as the governor of Egypt. Let it be known to you, Malik, I am sending you as a governor to a country which has seen many governments before this. People will judge your government as critically as you have studied the activities of other governments. You must create in your mind kindness, compassion, and love of your subjects. Among your subjects there are two kinds of people, those who have the same religion as yours, and they are brothers unto you, and those who have other religions than yours, and yet are human beings like you. People of either category suffer from the same weaknesses and disabilities that human flesh is heir to. Let your mercy and compassion come to their help. Never forget that if you are a ruler over them, then the Caliph is the ruler over you, and God is the Supreme Lord over the Caliph. Do not hurry over punishments, and do not be pleased and proud of your power to punish. Do not get angry and lose your temper quickly over the mistakes of those over whom you rule. Be patient and sympathetic with them. If you ever feel any pride or vanity on account of your sway and rule over your subjects, then think of the supreme sway and rule of the Lord of the universes. Such thoughts will cure your mental weakness and will reduce your arrogance. So far as your own affairs or those of your relatives and friends are concerned, take care that you do not violate the duties laid down upon you by God and usurp the rights of mankind. You must always appreciate and adopt a policy which is neither too severe and harsh nor too lenient. Remember that displeasure and disapproval of the common men, have-nots and depressed people more than overbalances the approval of important people. Usually these big personages are the people who will be the worst drag upon you during your moments of peace, and the least useful to you during your hours of need. They hate justice the most, will seldom be satisfied with what they receive, and when times change, you will never find them loyal, while the common men, the poor, and the apparently less important sections of your subjects are the pillars of Islam. Be careful in forming your contacts and developing friendships. Keep such people away from you who try to find faults of others, because everywhere people have weaknesses and failings, and it is the duty of the government to overlook minor shortcomings. Do not give cause to the people to envy each other. Try to alleviate and root out mutual distrust and enmity from amongst your subjects. Remember that backbiters and scandal-mongers are a cunning group, though they pretend to be sincere advisers. Do not be quick in believing the news they bring or accepting the advice they offer. Do not accept the advice of misers. They will try their best to keep you away from acts of kindness and from doing good to others. Similarly, do not allow cowards and weaklings to act as your advisers, because they will make you timid in issuing and enforcing your orders. At the same time, deter greedy people from aspiring to the position of your counselor, because they will teach you how to exploit the community. Remember that miserliness, cowardice, and greed appear to be different wicked qualities, but they all arise from the same evil mentality of having no faith and no trust in God. Your worst ministers will be the men who had been ministers to the tyrants and oppressive rulers before you. In their stead, find people who are equally wise and learned, but who have not developed criminal mentalities, who have not helped tyrants in their tyrannies. From amongst such honest companions and ministers, only those would receive your fullest confidence who can always speak out the bitter truth to you without fear of your position, who refuse to assist you or to be a party in such deeds which God does not like his friends to commit. The people over whom you rule are divided into classes, and the prosperity of each class individually and collectively is interdependent upon the well-being of the other classes. Soldiers are by the order of God a stronghold to guard and defend the subjects and the state. They are the real guardians of peace, and, through them, good internal administration can be maintained. The upkeep and maintenance of an army depends upon the taxes collected by a state. Though the army and common men are two important classes in a welfare state, their well-being cannot be guaranteed without proper functioning of the other classes, the judges and magistrates, the secretaries of the state, and the officers of various departments, who collect various revenues, maintain law and order, as well as preserve peace. Among the diverse classes of society, they also guard rights of citizens and look to performances of numerous duties by individuals and classes. And the prosperity of this whole setup depends upon the traders and industrialists. They act as a medium between the consumers and the suppliers. They relieve the citizens of the need of running after their requisites of life. Then comes the class of the poor, the have-nots, and the disabled people. It is absolutely necessary that they should be looked after, helped, and well provided for. Each class has this right upon the ruler of the state, that at least the minimum necessities for its well-being and contented living are provided. So far as the army is concerned, its chief and commander should be a person who is most sincere and faithful to God, to the Holy Prophet, and to your Imam, who is most pious, who is famous for his forbearance, clemency, and gentleness, who is neither short-tempered nor gets angry quickly, who sympathetically treats sincere excuses and accepts apologies, who is kind and compassionate towards the weak, but haughty and domineering against the strong and powerful, and whom vindictiveness does not lead to violence, nor inferiority complex or weak-mindedness leaves helpless and dejected. When you have found and selected such people, watch them as parents watch their children, so that you may find out if there appears any deterioration in their characters. Treat them sympathetically. Under the impression that you have paid enough attention to their major necessities and wants, do not close your eyes to their minor requirements, because small favors often bear better fruit. Among the military officers, those who should receive your highest consideration are those who pay most attention to the needs of the soldiers under their command, and who come forward to help the soldiers with their personal means and property. The things which should most gladden the heart of a ruler must be the fact that his state is being ruled on the principles of justice and equity, and that his subjects love him. And your subjects will love you only when their hearts are not sore against you. Their sincerity and faithfulness will be proved if they gather around you to support your government, and when they bear your authority without considering it an unbearable burden on their heads. Appreciate the good deeds done by them, and let these good actions be known publicly. Similarly, do not overpay work simply because it has been done by a very important person. Let equity, justice, and fair play be your motto. So far as the dispensing of justice is concerned, you have to be very careful in selecting officers. You must select people of excellent character, superior caliber, and meritorious record. Abundance of litigations and complexity of cases should not make them lose their temper. When they realize that they have made a mistake in judgment, they should not persist upon it. When truth is made clear to them, they should not consider it below their dignity to correct the mistake made. They should not be corrupt, covetous, or greedy. They should not be satisfied with ordinary inquiry or scrutiny of a case, but scrupulously go through all the pros and cons, must examine every aspect of the problem carefully, and whenever and wherever they find doubtful and ambiguous points, they must stop, go through further details, clear the points, and only then proceed with their decisions. They must attach greatest importance to reasoning, arguments, and proofs, and they should not be misled by flattery. But unfortunately, there are few people having such characteristics. After you have selected such men to act as your judges, make it a point to go through some of their judgments and to check their proceedings. Pay them handsomely so that their needs are fully satisfied and they are not required to beg or borrow or resort to corruption. Let the judiciary be above every kind of executive pressure or influence, above fear or favor, intrigue or corruption. Take every care of this aspect, because, before your appointment, this state was under the sway of corrupt, time-serving, and wealth-grasping opportunists, who wanted nothing out of a state but a sinful consent of amassing wealth and pleasures for themselves. Then come the officers of your state. Their appointments must be made originally on probation, without any kind of favoritism being shown. Keep them also well paid, so that they may not be tempted to lower their standards of morality. And even if, after being paid handsomely, they prove dishonest, then you will be right to punish them. Therefore, keep a careful watch over their system of work and rule. The knowledge that they are being watched secretly will keep them away from dishonesty, misrule, malpractices, and tyrannizing the subjects. So far as the collection of land revenues and taxes are concerned, you must always keep in view the welfare of the taxpayers. A state actually lives upon the revenues collected from the taxpayers. Therefore, more importance should be attached to the fertility of the land than to the collection of taxes, because actual taxable capacity of people rests upon the fertility of the land. If the taxpayers complain to you about heavy incidents of taxation, of any accidental calamity, and if their complaints are true, then reduce their taxes. This reduction should be such that it provides them opportunities to ease their circumstances. Decrease in state income due to such reasons should not depress you, because the best investment for a ruler is to help his subjects at the time of their difficulties. They are the real wealth of a country, and any investment on them will be returned to the state in the shape of the prosperity of its cities and improvement of the country at large. The poverty of people is the actual cause of the devastation and destruction of a country, and the main cause of the poverty of people is the desire of its ruler and officers to amass wealth and possessions, whether by fair means or foul. You will also have to be very careful of your secretaries. In particular, the affairs which are of a confidential nature should be entrusted only to men of exemplary character. Particular care should be taken when the officers make contracts on behalf of the government or sign agreements. If they are negotiating any treaties and alliances, they must not overlook or forsake the interests of the state. Or if they find the state in a weak and embarrassing position on account of harmful terms of the treaties or any intrigue, they should be able to find sensible ways out of them. Then you must appoint one officer as the head of each important branch of your government. He should have enough knowledge and wisdom to cope successfully with all the intricate problems of his department, and the necessary diligence to deal with large volumes of work. If there is any deficiency in your officers, and you are tolerating it, then you and only you are responsible for these tribulations. I want to advise you about your businessmen and industrialists. Treat them well and order your officers to follow the same policy. They are all sources of wealth for the country. Their consignments are brought from distant lands, often from places which are not easy to approach. These businessmen are usually peace-loving people. You must look after their interest and protect them, conveying goods from place to place. One more thing about these traders and industrialists. They often hoard their goods to get more profit out of them, through creating scarcity and black market. Such a condition is extremely injurious to the public. Remember that trade should continue between the purchasers and suppliers according to the correct measures and weights. Then I want to caution you about the poor. They have no support, no resources, and no opportunities. They are poor, they are destitute, and many of them are cripples unfit for work. Some of them come out begging, and some do not beg, but their conditions scream about their distress, poverty, destitution, and wants. You must fix a share for them from the government treasury. Remember that you have to take particular care of those who cannot reach you. Appoint a respectable, honest, and pious person, a person who fears God and can treat them respectfully. Order him to find out everything about them and to bring the report to you. Then treat these poor people in such a way that on the day of judgment you can plead your case successfully before God, because of all the classes of your subjects, this class deserves more of your attention, sympathy, and fair treatment. You should pay more attention to young orphans and old cripples. They neither have any support, nor can they conveniently come out begging. They cannot reach you, therefore you must reach them. Out of your hours of work, fix a time for complainants. You must arrange public audience for them. Do not let your army and police be in the audience hall at such a time, so that those who have grievances against your government may speak out freely, unreservedly, and without fear. Treat them courteously, hear their grievances smilingly, and, if you are forced to refuse their demands, then refuse in such a way that your refusal may please them as much as your grants. If you find that your officers are not attending to the grievances and complaints of the public as much as they should, then you should personally attend to them. You must finish a day's work on that day, only because each day will bring its own special work for you. Reserve your best time for prayers to the Lord, though every work of the state is the work of God, especially if you are sincere and honest, and if your subjects are happy with your rule and safe from your oppression. When the Holy Prophet sent me to Yemen, I asked him how to lead the prayers, and he advised me, pray like a weak and old person, and be kind to the faithful. You must take care not to cut yourself off from the public. Do not place a prestige curtain between yourself and those over whom you rule. The result of such an attitude is that you remain ignorant of the conditions of your subjects. You will fail to realize the comparative importance of events taking place. After all, a ruler is as much a human being as any other man, and he may remain ignorant of facts of which his officers want to keep him in the dark, and on which the public may want to throw light. If on account of certain strict measures of yours, people become suspicious of your behaving like a tyrant, then explain to them the reasons of your actions. This will be an act of kindness to the subjects, and the confidence thus rested in them will make them support justice and truth. If your enemy invites you for a treaty which will be agreeable to the Lord, then never refuse to accept such an offer, because peace will bring rest and comfort to your armies, will relieve you from anxieties, and will bring prosperity to your people. But even after such treaties, be very careful of the enemies, because they often resort to peace and treaty to deceive. At the same time, be very careful. Never break your promise with your enemy. Deception and fraud, even against your enemy, is a deception against God. There should be no mental reservation, no deception, and no meaning in between the lines when you make a promise or conclude a treaty. And, once the treaty has been finally concluded, do not try to take advantage of any ambiguous word or phrase in it. If you find yourself in a difficult situation on account of a treaty made in the cause of God, then try to face the situation and bear the difficulty manfully. Beware of the sin of shedding blood without religious justification, because there is nothing quicker in bringing down the wrath of the Lord than to shed innocent blood. Beware. Do not develop the trait of self-admiration. Do not let flattery and compliments make you vain. Do not boast of the favors and kindnesses you have done to your subjects, and do not go back upon the promises made. Do not be hasty in your decisions and actions. When the time comes for an action or a decision, then do not be lazy, do not waste time, and do not show weakness. When you do not find the correct method to carry out the matter at hand, then do not persist with the wrong method. And, when you find a correct solution, then do not be lethargic in adopting it. Do not reserve for yourself anything which is common property to all. Do not close your eyes from glaring malpractices of the officers, miscarriage of justice, and misuse of rights, because you will be held responsible for the wrong thus done to others. You must always try to remember the good and useful things done in the past, activities of a just and benign government, good deeds done by it, good laws disseminated, orders and traditions of the Holy Prophet, orders of God given out in his holy book, and things that you have seen me doing or have heard me saying. Follow the good actions and advice found therein. Similarly, follow carefully the advice contained in these orders. Through them, I have tried to teach you all that can be taught about a good government. I have done my duty with you, so that you may not go astray, and your mind may not crave after base desires. If it does, then you will have no excuse before God. I beseech God by his limitless mercy and his supreme might of granting us our prayers, that he may lead both of us to the divine guidance of achieving his pleasure, of successfully pleading our cases before him, justifying our deeds before man, of gaining good repute, of leaving good results of our benign and just rule, with ever expanding prosperity and ever increasing welfare of the state, and of meeting our ends as martyrs and pious people, as our return is towards him only.